right, welcome back to Tatay Time. This is Papa Loy,
Papa Ben.
exploring the world of fatherhood. And right now, where are we at?
It's full moon today, isn't it?
Full moon, yeah.
Yeah, that's it hayagid.
Yeah. So straight
We
up
are-
from long conversation last time with
Yeah.
our guest. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, by the way, for joining that time.
Mighty Noipi
Yeah,
channel.
Mighty Noipi channel.
Check him
Please
out.
check him
the
out.
K-pop reactions.
Yeah, like and subscribe.
Yeah, and we are on the what is that? The third Advent Sunday.
Sunday, yeah.
Yeah, so
This is the third one.
we are fully in the holiday season.
Yep,
and
just
it's
a
like
few
the
more
traffic
weeks.
is ridiculous.
Back to the normal December grind in the Philippines, where Christmas starts at the Burr months.
Oh yeah, it's been going on here for a while.
Only in the Philippines,
but
man.
it's getting busy now. But yeah, in terms of fatherhood, how have things been going? It's been a couple weeks.
Yeah, it's been a couple of weeks, and I'm gonna have my first Christmas party. I mean, for school, yeah. Not
What's the
bad.
plan for that?
Well, you just got a usual sing and dance and exchange gifts. But
Sure.
what they did practice a lot though, like rehearsals. So it's pretty hectic past couple of weeks. A bit early, going to school earlier than usual because they're gonna have an extra hour for practice. So I'm still getting used to this.
Yeah. Yeah, you're like I said before, like you're in the years where it's like the golden times because school becomes very different, not just for you as the parent, but especially for them as kids, because they're right now in that stage. You're talking what, nursery, right?
Yeah, nursery.
So those are the times they're just like, oh, they're drawing squares and
Yeah.
circles,
It's barely
and
learning,
colors
right?
and stuff like
Adding.
learning how to learning
Yeah.
numbers,
Numbers.
and,
letters.
like sight words are coming in,
Yeah, it's pretty interesting.
and they enjoy that, right? Because they're learning so much, like everything is so new.
Yeah.
But once they get to like grade school, the tone of the student becomes a little bit different when it comes to school. So I'm not going to spoil it for you,
Yeah.
but you'll get there, man. Like, it's a little bit different.
Yeah.
So enjoy it now while it
All
lasts.
right. Yeah, I like surprises sometimes.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I guess I'll get there.
I mean, it's not like a big surprise, but you'll just notice, even the other students, you'll notice the classmates start looking at school a little bit different by, second, third grade.
Third grade.
Yeah.
So
So
kindergarten
you're-
and preschool is just mostly
Those are the
like
most
fun.
enjoyable
Yeah, for
times, I
them.
think, and when it comes to the traditional setting of the
Yeah.
classroom, yeah. But those Christmas celebrations never go away. Like
Yeah.
those are still going on up through, I think, high school. Like
Yeah.
they'll have performances for forever.
Even the classroom drama is starting already. It's just been like nursery,
right?
man. They already
Is
have
that
some
right?
some
Yeah.
sort of like, hey, this kid is like this,
Yeah.
like that. All right, I gotta listen to this. All right, well, just usual.
The parents start gossiping amongst each other. Like,
I
"Oh,
don't
this
know.
kid, da, 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 da,
I
da."
don't really, but my daughter has been like telling me like this classmate is
so-and-so.
fighting her, and this classmate
Yeah,
is
sure.
nice. So okay, just gotta bear with it.
Yeah, they get the full blown experience of
Yeah.
comparison. They get to start to compare each other like in a big way.
I was expecting that was gonna happen around like K2 or something.
Yeah,
straight up from nursery.
Yeah, it doesn't take that long before they have to figure out how to deal with their territorial ways in the classroom environment. That's not easy, right? Because at that stage of development, they're not really that ready to give up their territory yet. It's but in a way, it's people say it's so they can socialize, but I think technically the way their stage of development is, they're not really ready for that yet. And I don't know, how's your guys' experience with her being sick at all? Is that has that been an issue or not really?
Getting sick, yeah, we're kind of used to it by now. Like, not unlike before, like you automatically just take them to the doctor. It's a small, like cough or colds. But now we not really self-medicate. So good thing my wife is in the industry, so she pretty much knows what to give. But other than that, we do have those concerns like getting sick, contracting, or even and giving it to others, which is normal, but pretty good.
Yeah, when we started nursery, that was, I don't know if it was just the classroom that our daughter was in at that time, but man, it really seemed like it was just floating all year round. Like it didn't seem to go away, and it didn't help that the school had construction going on.
Oh, okay.
And
Yeah,
that
yeah,
was
I think
kind
I
of
remember that.
that was an unfortunate reality at that school.
Yeah.
They would have construction going on during
yeah.
school time,
Yeah.
which was, I don't know, the standard should really be higher.
And not to mention the occasional dengue scare. Like
Yeah.
you get flashes of sometimes there's just lots of cases.
Yeah, have you heard there's the public school in Gusa? I forget which public school that was, but I heard recently. I was talking to a mother at a tutoring center that we were going to, and she mentioned that several students actually died
Oh,
from
What?
dengue. I don't know if this is true. Maybe you heard the news, because I don't keep up on it, obviously. But there supposedly is a variant of dengue that is less detectable. I don't know. Maybe the parents or the people just didn't think it was dengue, so they kind of ignored it. But
Yeah.
there were several cases like this.
yeah, it does happen.
And the
though.
word on the street, I guess, is from what this lady was telling me is that it's some variant that it's less detectable. I was like, whoa, dude, that sounds crazy. Like dengue is already deadly as it is.
Yeah.
And then you have a version that's not showing symptoms. Like that sounds, man, I don't know. That's
Yeah,
scary.
there's like
dude.
another million reasons
Yeah.
to like be what do you call this, vigilant?
Yeah,
or-
yeah. I mean, you can get the long socks, right? That was one precaution that we would do. The long cotton socks that go up to the above the knee, and then you get the arm sleeves,
yeah.
and then you still send
And
them
of
off
course
with
the citronella
you send them off
spray,
with citronella spray. Yeah.
stickers.
The stickers. I mean, it's that's a bit scary, man. I don't know if you heard about that news, but that's the word on the street. I didn't know about that. I was like, that sounds so
Yeah.
scary.
There's one thing too that kind of just popped out or popped up that became trendy. Have you heard of Labubu or something? That dollar, what do you call this, figurine? Have you heard of that?
No. What is that about?
Yeah, if you can search it, Labubu.
Labu.
It's kind of like a key. I'm not sure if it's a keychain, but it sure is expensive though, and it's become like a fad. I don't know. My wife was just talking
Labubu.
about it, and
What is it? Just
yeah,
L-A?
Labubu something. Just Labubu.
Just Labubu.
Where is that? Yeah, I think that's the one. The doll. Was it Labubu? Like search for the image.
Monsters?
Yeah,
Blind
monsters.
box? Oh, these blind box things.
Yeah, so now that the school announced,
things?
yeah,
Oh, yeah,
those
yeah.
things.
Yeah. When we see these, our daughter is like she'll stop and look at these things.
Yeah, she just straight up told me like, I want one,
I want one.
because her classmate had one, and it's become now like some type of probably the number one fad I've heard, and it's really expensive. Like a keychain alone costs about maybe 2,000 pesos. I'm not sure, something like that in that range. And if you buy the big ones, it's about 10,000 or
What?
more. And it's so hard to find now because it's like sold out all the time.
Oh, the branded, like the
Yeah, the
originals.
original ones. So
Okay.
I don't know what's up with that. There's nothing cute about it, too.
I think the way Alana explained it, it's like it's monsters in a cute way.
Yeah. And the funny thing is that in some groups that I'm involved with online, they've been warning, especially the Catholic groups. They've been warning against it.
Really? Why?
I don't know. Something about it being diabolical or something. I'm not sure.
Okay.
That's what they've been telling or posting about it. Supposedly, it's the origin of it. I did not really research on it yet,
Mm-hmm.
but I heard there's like a backstory to it.
Okay. What's that about?
That
Oh,
I
you
had
don't
to.
know. You don't
Yeah,
know.
I should have. I should before we started
Yeah.
recording. I should have because it just popped up in my mind
Okay.
like a couple of minutes
I
ago
have
thinking
no
about
idea.
it.
What's that?
But
I
it's
know.
really like a fad now,
Yeah, really?
and I don't know why they're so concerned about it. I mean, it's like a
Thousands just for the
figurine.
original, huh?
Yeah, but
What's that about?
some
It's
or
just
not
some-
even just Catholics, even Christians online have
Okay.
been talking
Some
about
kind
that.
of demonic thing.
Could be. I don't know.
Huh.
That's what they're saying.
Yeah.
I'm not sure because to me, I like collecting figurines even way before. I've had what did we have before? Remember Trolls?
Yeah, the ones that were pretty graphic too were like the Spawn ones.
Yeah, the
You
Spawn
remember
ones.
those?
I love those.
Those were
Yeah,
pretty
it's
horrifying
just
actually.
too expensive.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I just had
The
posters.
McFarlane.
Yeah, the McFarlane toys are
those
so
were-
expensive.
Those were so graphic.
But yeah, if you talk about like demonic designs, that was so
Spawn
good.
was,
Yeah, Spawn
yeah.
was so good. With
Yeah. My brother used to collect those comics.
oh yeah, I
and,
think I the first time I've read Spawn was from Mark.
Yeah, those were some the toys of those. I mean, I wasn't anywhere near a church at that time. I think I remember that was around the time when I was working. I started my professional life. I was working in the call center, and that's what I decorated my cubicle
Spawn.
with. Yeah, with Spawn toys, and they were quite graphic, man. They were
Yeah, the
you know,
Violator is one of my
yeah,
favorite
yeah, the
villains.
Violator.
Yeah,
Oh man.
Angela. Yeah, was it Angela? Yeah, that character was badass too.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what the church was saying about those, but I mean, I'm sure that nobody looked at those very highly in. But you know,
I remember the Satanic Panic back in was it in the 80s? Yeah, in the 80s, when they warned us about Dungeons and Dragons. I don't know if you
Oh,
remember
sure,
that
sure,
time,
sure.
or even just
Yeah.
metal music.
Yeah. definitely. My
Yeah.
thanks to my brother being into heavy
Yeah.
metal. You know, what was the famous ones?
Just lots of them.
Yeah,
Slayer,
Marilyn Manson.
Marilyn
was, like,
Manson, of course. Yeah, notorious.
Yeah, notorious for being
Beautiful
being-
people.
Yeah. Of course, any heavy metal, it just sounded
Yeah.
demonic, right?
Antichrist Superstar was a really good album. I mean, musically.
Yeah, they didn't have.
Of course, I don't listen to it now, but before I used to.
they didn't have favorable titles either.
Yeah.
Talking about the Sandman and stuff. So I don't know about you know, sometimes it doesn't make sense sometimes. Like I remember being a kid and being in the church, and they were talking against The Simpsons.
Oh,
I was like, really? Come on, man. Like, I get that it's not exactly. It's a kind of a dysfunctional family, right?
yeah,
and
yeah.
that's kind of like why it was different because it was a cartoon about a dysfunctional
it is
family.
funny too, like really funny. It's cleverly funny.
It was definitely. I mean, yeah, and I was like, this is what kind of I got like questioning the church at the time.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
why are they talking about The Simpsons? There's like so many other things they could be talking about, like The Simpsons. Really, you guys want to? And this is on a Sunday mass.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So it was like that's the part of the homily or something.
That part of the homily, yeah. I just distinctly remember that.
Yeah.
I was
The
just like,
Simpsons.
why? What's wrong with The Simpsons? I didn't get it. I mean, maybe I still don't. I never really ended up watching it anyways, so I never really understood what was.
Or maybe
the
the
big deal.
priest was just uberly too conservative or something, where everything you touch is like demonic or something. But there are though objects that are really there that they say
In The Simpsons?
No, not The Simpsons. I mean, the church says that never cross the line, like tarot cards, Ouija boards. That is explicitly
Oh, sure, yeah.
yeah on the catechism, like you should not be engaging in the occult. That is one thing that was stated clearly. So
yeah.
which I think makes kind of in a spiritual way it does make sense, because once you dabble into that area of reality, there's something there that, as we've known, mysterious, because it hasn't fully revealed whatever you're engaging in.
Yeah, this is something I've been wondering lately because we have a deep history with obviously paganism.
Yeah,
right?
especially our ancestors, right?
Yeah, Paul, a lot of Well, a lot of older cultures do, especially here in the Pacific.
Yeah.
Right, for everywhere from the Pacific Islands, right, Hawaii, have that, right? New Zealand.
Yeah, just for context, for those who are watching, we're from the Philippines, so our pre-colonial religions here were mostly animists. Just like if you know Ferdinand Magellan, the chieftain who was against him at that time was Lapu-Lapu, and they were animists, so they worshipped a lot of things in nature, the mountains. So that was the our ancestral history of worship. So it's really different from now. Of course, we don't really worship gods now.
Yeah, but I think what I can observe in the culture, though, is that a lot of these practices still exist.
Oh yeah, definitely. There still are elements of it that is embedded within the what do you call this, dominant religion. Let's say in Catholicism, you still see people doing pagan practices such as animal sacrifice. When you when you are building a foundation, it's very common here to slaughter a chicken or a goat.
Yeah.
Then
Yep.
that's a no. Just saying, we just had a discussion with that. I just had a discussion with that with some of my friends a few weeks ago. And because they were saying like, we had a new farm like this, or have this new business. So padugo, that's our
padugo.
So I was telling them that's not really. I mean, that's not a practice if you're sticking to.
If you're a Christian.
Yeah, if you're Christian or Catholic, especially, you're not supposed to be. But I understand it's part of the culture. But me personally, I wouldn't do it now. It's kind of like unnecessary. Plus, it just brings in a more spiritual conversation. It brings in forces that you do not know.
Right. Because it has its roots in a different
direction, or
you could say
a
different
channel, a different
it's
frequency,
a different spiritual practice, right? So whatever you want to call it, if it's
although it's part of our overarching culture, majority of it prior to the Spaniards coming here, but there was a reason why we went monotheistic in a way.
Right.
Yeah, but anyway, go ahead.
If you want to be technical about your religion, which if you're going to practice a religion, shouldn't you be technical about it?
Yeah.
Right?
We have to. It's kind of like law, man. There's canon law. There's
exactly.
I've just been barely learning about this stuff, but I have to learn, kind of like, you learn the laws of the land,
right.
The laws of your country. Being Catholic is just like that. You have to know the laws of the religion. There are things that we need to follow or we need to adhere to. Like, of course, if I can't claim to be Catholic and be pro-choice. I mean, that's just, for me. I mean, even if you ask the traditional ones, it's contradicting. And because I used to be in that position, but when I proclaim that, it's hard for me to be in that position, not just because the religion says so, but upon investigating the moral aspects of it.
Yeah, and it's a conflict, right?
Yeah, it's a conflict of morals.
What specifically in the scripture are you referring to where it? That's a conflict. Do you know the?
Well, you have to refer to the Didache at first. It's a book where how the early Christians practiced. It explicitly says there not to murder or abort your children or sacrifice or even kill babies.
Yeah.
That's just part of the being Christian.
Yeah.
So
so just to clarify, when you're pro-choice, you can, if you're still in the womb or that's still under the boundaries of making the choice to abort, right?
Yeah. And I'm not an absolutist, so in that regard, it's a very deep topic that I still have to people internalize. You
can listen to people debate about at what point is it is it an embryo? You know, from what do they call it? A zygote?
Yes,
Right?
but it's a human being.
like-
For at least from the
Yeah.
position of the pro-life, that's
Yeah.
the stand.
In
And
terms of science,
Yeah.
right? But then there are also people who believe that there is a point where the spirit does come
yeah, it's upon
in. So it's like,
conception.
upon conception.
In the
right?
Catholic
So-
in the Catholic faith, it's upon conception. So,
So-
thou shall not touch upon conception.
So that's where it's so difficult to debate because you have this you have the faith part of it.
Yeah.
So
And
how do you debate against that? Where it's like well, you believe that the spirit is there, so you're not talking about the scientific transition of a zygote to an embryo
yeah,
or
yeah.
whatever. Right?
I mean, it helps. It does help that we know the process.
sure, yeah.
Of course, just like science is really a helpful tool, and then, but when we begin to label it scientifically, just on that aspect alone, we kind of, in a way, I don't know, dehumanize things.
Yeah, totally.
I've noticed
totally.
that, like,
Absolutely.
things basically just become statistics.
Yeah.
You know,
And body parts.
yeah. Stalin had this quote before. Yeah, it's kind of like a really eye-opening on what the way they view other other human beings. It's just part of the meat machine
No.
when they send you out into war, or when they purge you,
Yeah. Okay.
because
Okay.
he wants to maintain power, and it's happening until now. There's in every nation that is under that type of ideology. Let's just call it out.
Sure.
Communism.
Uh-huh.
It's an atheistic entity.
Yeah.
I'm not against atheists. I was in their camp before.
Sure.
I have families and friends who still are.
Yeah.
And that doesn't change my own personal concern. I just jumped on another fence where I
yeah.
believe this is
Sure.
a better endeavor, and that's
Yeah, you went through a stage of questioning.
Yeah,
I think
state of
there's
que-
nothing people should question, right? I maybe to a certain degree, but yeah, you had your reasons to have doubts, and
Yeah.
there's nothing wrong with that. To go back to the dabbling in the occult, where were we going? Where did we leave off from that before we got on that tangent?
like way off tangent.
Sorry.
The
So
occult-
that was about the our culture. Having
Our
roots
culture having roots in animism. Yeah.
animism. So, like you were saying that we do those practices like padugo. Like I still remember,
Or even Hindu. We have Hindu influences. Even some of
Sure.
our words, guru, it means teacher here in
Uh-huh.
our local language in Tagalog.
yeah,
But
yeah.
that's because India also sailed here a long time ago, and we had
Right.
exchanges with them. So we did incorporate or assimilate some of their practices. So there are also archaeological evidences of that part of our history. It's pretty interesting, actually. So yeah, ever since before, I guess we've been doing the occult.
Yeah, but I think this raises an interesting concern particularly in this culture where we're supposed to be so Christian Catholic heavy, right, in this country, but yet when you're actually here living here, you see the naisagol gid sa culture, because like for example, I love my mother-in-law, but she's very faithful to the Catholic Church, and she participates and hosts barangay groups where they get together in their local chapel, and she's always been part of those things, prayers, right? Before I was even born, she's been doing this stuff.
Yeah.
So she's very, very dedicated to the church and has been like that for a while, but also has these other practices
Yes.
that have their roots.
Yeah.
And I can't help but wonder how that actually affects the influence of demons.
Yeah.
Right? Because
For the record, the church doesn't endorse that. It's just that
Right.
most of us have poor catechesis. That's what I've observed, and they don't really have the manpower to really educate everybody right now. It's but anyway, that's another story. But yeah,
so
that is
it
true.
makes me wonder, like how that brings conflict into your home if you're supposed to be dedicated to the one God, but yet you are still participating. And so it's like it's not always black and white too, because like let's say you have herbal medicines, right? Like I don't think herbal medicines are a bad thing. But when you start doing the other things like ipadogo, like on the birthdays,
Yeah.
you know, my mother-in-law will have her, or my father-in-law, they'll do the blood on the forehead thing,
Yeah.
right? Like these are
Pahilot sa Bisaya.
yeah.
You know that's very common. You or even seek for a what we call here a mananambal. It's kind of like a
Mananambal,
witch
yeah.
doctor who
Yeah,
who
so
does
like
prayers.
Those are weird areas
Yeah,
too,
and they
because
some of them use Latin too. I've seen some of their
Is that
rituals. Yeah, there's
Yeah.
but they have a bastardized version of the Latin prayers that the church has, and then they incorporate some of the prayers in the Catholic. I've seen this, and it's still happening in Mexico, especially in the Mesoamericas, in Colombia. I don't know
Really?
why. There is something about it that just kind of like growing in that direction, especially if in the communities where kita we are a third world country, so poor catechesis. There's always that.
yeah. So if you're considering about you know, if you have a concern about demonic presence, and then you're still participating in those practices of the old,
Yeah, asking other spirits
right
to
right
to
exactly.
enter your
So
domain.
there's a real conflict there, right? And
There
like, there's
is.
a real
Yeah.
concern.
Because you don't have faith in the one true God, so you turn to other spirits, and
yeah.
I don't know. It's dangerous, especially according to
Yeah.
priests. The Holy Spirit should be the only spirit that you would welcome, other than of course the God the Father, Son, Holy Spirit. But you know, we always say, "Come, Holy Spirit," when we pray. But then when
Right.
you're invoking some other entities,
Yeah, yeah.
who what, like the God of money, or have you noticed those the Santo Niño? You know the Santo Niño, right?
Yeah.
There are practices here. I've been seeing this, and it bugs me a lot, man. Like
Yeah.
there's like coins
Okay.
on the
Yeah,
feet of
yeah,
the
yeah,
I mean, this is sacrilege.
Yeah.
It bugs me out. That's not my statue, but you know, it's your property. But I'm
Yeah.
just saying,
Yeah.
if you really revere the image, or have that respect for iconographies, or even our statues or things, there is a protocol. Let's just say.
Yeah.
You don't put money. It contradicts the whole message of the
Right.
gospel.
Right. And so I can't help but wonder, and you know, I'm just thinking about this on a kind of superficial level, but it's
Yeah.
like if so many are practicing that here in the Philippines, maybe it hints to something about why every level of society here is so corrupted,
Yeah,
right?
that's the
Because
problem.
the practice, the faith itself has been corrupted.
Mm.
So if we're living that as our faith, then so goes the reality, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so that's the concern, right? If we're focused on the wrong things, then we're being led astray, right?
Yeah.
You're following the wrong path,
Yeah.
right? Like it's a different path,
Yeah.
right? It's not so I'm not saying I know the path, but I'm just saying it's an observation that it can be easily made here.
Yeah.
Naisagol gyud din sa atong practice. So
Yeah.
it's concerning, right?
Yeah, and the way the way they inserted that into the culture, it's very crafty. So it's just like that labubu thing, right? When they try to insert that thing into our space, and it becomes a thing, a fad. Buy this. It's gonna make you in.
Oh yeah. Well,
You
that's
know?
just one of many
So that-
distractions of
It's
modern
similar
life.
to that one. Like do this, especially those like when we have those other rituals. It's gonna make you. Of course, it's gonna make you rich, right?
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
asking for it, but from who?
Right.
That's my question.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, we have a lot of that. Like we take from other cultures,
Yeah.
right? Like we do the it's funny because I always have this always bugs me every new year, and it's coming up, so it's a good time to talk about it. We what do you call those things where we go back to the gold coins
Oh yeah,
and
yeah.
put the rice, the bugas,
And then
fruits,
the fruits,
right?
you
Right.
gotta have like different types
So
of fruit.
you
Yeah.
you can explain then like what is the purpose of that? What does that symbolize? in a
Yeah,
ways?
it's a combination from different influences. There's Chinese influences
Sure.
from there. I'm
Right, right.
sure Spanish.
Uh-huh.
I can't pinpoint the some of the practices,
But
but
from what you know, like what do people do that? Because that's very common here.
Yeah.
It's like almost in every household,
yeah, it's mostly like for prosperity.
right?
Yeah.
Right. To be
that's-
for wealth,
yeah, for wealth.
right?
It's,
So this is the thing that bugs me. So you're gonna use money to buy fruits
Yeah.
to make this thing,
Yep.
and then watch the fruit rot.
Mm.
Like that, does that make any sense?
Yeah,
You're gonna
it's-
let this money basically rot. You spent money.
Excessive, right? Kind of excessive.
Yeah, it's totally excessive. Like, why couldn't you buy real fruit that you would actually? Because what happens is people like to buy pineapples, or they'll just buy whatever round fruit it is, and then they put it in this display, and then after New Year they just let it rot away.
Yeah.
I was like, doesn't that defeat the whole purpose of what this symbolizes? It's supposed to be
Because-
prosperity and wealth, and then you just wasted a bunch of money the
Yeah.
first day of the
Yeah,
year.
the first
dude.
day of the
Like,
year.
what the hell is that? That doesn't make any freaking sense, dude.
You know why?
This
Because
bugs me every time.
we're not really practicing the real spirit of Christmas anymore. This is the inverse of what Christmas really is.
We are living in the inverse, that's
yeah,
for
in
sure.
the inverse, yeah.
This is
Santa
inverse
Claus.
life.
I love Santa Claus. Not this. I kind of love the Santa Claus, the commercial one, bearded dude
Yeah.
flying around a reindeer.
Breaks into your house.
A reindeer breaks into your house, the chimney gives out gifts.
Yeah.
But the real Santa Claus, way, way better. Saint Nicholas of Bari. I mean, he was just a total badass. And that whole tradition of Santa Claus giving, yeah, he was known for doing that. He came from a wealthy family. He gave up all of his wealth and to just help people. He became
A
helpers.
real saint.
Yeah, helping children who are orphans. There was this one story where there's this bride who didn't have any money, and he kind of like overheard them talking with his father because they were having a hard time going on with the wedding. So he just threw like a bag of coins into their house, and somehow
Damn.
they found out it was of course dear old Saint Nicholas.
Wow.
Yeah, and he punched somebody too.
For what?
This is a funny anecdote. When you read history, you go back to the Council of Nicaea. That's one of the first ecumenical councils of the early church. Constantine, the Roman emperor who converted to Christianity, he was the first Roman emperor. Asked them to convene to a council. Remember the Nicene Creed? Every time you go to mass, when you say that I believe in one God, the Father Almighty, or if you were in a Latin church, you would say Credo Unum Deum, like that.
Okay.
But
Yeah,
anyway, the Nicene Creed, the modern Nicene Creed that we recite now was from that came from that ecumenical council.
Okay.
That was in 325 AD, I think, in the year of our Lord. Yeah, and Saint Nicholas, the real Saint Nicholas, was there. So they were trying to battle Arianism. There was a heresy at that time on determining what the nature of Jesus was. So Arianism was a heresy, and it was becoming so popular at that time that even overshadowed the whole Jesus was a God man. Because in Arianism, let me see if I got this right. Yeah, he was a created creature, something like that.
Really?
Yeah, that's why in the Nicene Creed, when you say he's consubstantial with the Father, meaning they're one, right? And they
okay.
share the same.
Uh-huh.
And then the Holy Spirit, it proceeds. It's technical thing there. Anyway, it's long history.
Sure.
But that's where we got it from. And
Okay.
Saint Nicholas, the real Santa Claus, if you read about his story, it's really so so deep and so inspiring. So I don't know why we're not having discussions about Saint Nicholas
The
of
real
Bari.
story.
Yeah, the real
Why did
story
he punch
in
somebody
Christmas.
though?
He punched air. This is according to tradition. I'm not sure if it's a or anecdote, but this is a popular story because it got so heated. Because of course he loved Jesus, he loved the faith so much, and that
Okay.
it really bothered him. Where this dude was like sending others to damnation or something by his belief. But that was part of it. They were having theological debates, so he got heated, and at one point he just kind of smacked his face.
Wow.
And he regretted it afterwards. He locked himself in a room, prayed, had confession, and
Oh, okay.
it was a cool story. But anyway,
Yeah.
that's the real Santa Claus. That was the real Santa
will
Claus.
slap your mama.
And now we got this inverse where to be able to we do share, right, every Christmas, but we have to spend a shitload of money. Like you have to buy unnecessary things to give out. Sometimes the charity becomes an act of how much do I spend rather than
Okay.
how much I can give, right?
Yeah, I mean, I guess if for some
So for
people,
me, it's like an
feel
inverse.
that way. Yeah. I try not to. I mean, I just don't. I just don't give that much, like, because for one, I can't like afford to get anyone useless stuff, and the second thing, I just don't believe in that.
Yeah, and I'm guilty of that too. Like every Christmas, you always expect, like, where are my gifts? Especially when we were like kids, right, or teenagers.
Yeah.
All right, it's Christmas, man. I can't wait to receive my
Sure.
whatever your.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
But
all
I
good.
think that that comes back to, we were talking about education and Christmas. Something I wanna point out is it becomes very obvious, like, because we've been doing the homeschool thing, that there are some subjects that seem very unnecessary in the curriculum. It's like the Hele subjects. Hele is home economics, learning.
Yeah.
It's like entrepreneurship. A lot of it is like house chore stuff. It's like, okay, so what I'm trying to get at here is, shouldn't the parents be teaching this kind of stuff? Like, why is this even in the curriculum of like how to make the bed, right? Like, why does the school have a mock bedroom so that the high school kids of all grades can learn that? I was like, why do they think that the parents are not capable of teaching their kids this?
Maybe nobody's making their beds anymore. Like kids are not
Dude.
doing it anymore.
Well, okay, so you can make the argument like, due to bed bugs, like you shouldn't probably make your
okay.
bed,
Yeah.
but that doesn't mean you can just leave it messy, or like you can hang your blanket, properly somewhere.
So it's
so
part
that-
of the curriculum.
Yeah, dude, and I'm like, what? Why do we have to give a grade for something that parents should take the responsibility for in itself? Like, why should the school? And I get it, like people want a school that has like Christian values, but why is that not up to the parents? Like to why are the parents even looking to the school in the first place? And this kind of is kind of coming to the forefront in now that we're doing the homeschool stuff, because I'm looking at the books, right? I'm looking at like, why does this book have the student reading labels when the parents should be teaching the kids how to read labels of packages in their own house? It's like, that's the part of the exercise. Oh, go around your house and look at the package. Like, why is this in here? So basically what I'm getting to is that the parents should be teaching those things. What is the purpose of the mass, right? Like, I don't know if I mentioned this to you before, but up to third grade, our daughter couldn't tell us, I'm only finding this out now because I'm the one handling the curriculum.
Yeah.
Like, she didn't know the purpose of the mass, right?
Neither did we. I mean, before.
And neither did we.
Yeah.
But I didn't go to a Catholic school. But maybe you did. But
Yeah.
I mean, I went to a public school, and certainly that wasn't part of the curriculum. But I mean, why should even the school be responsible for that in the first place, right? If maybe the parents want some assistance or some guidance there, then they can go to maybe a Christian school and then maybe get guidance. But like, why should they have to be like tested and graded or have these things? Like, what is the point of Christmas, right? Like, that's up to the parents. The parents should
the
be
parents should be the primary
emphasizing what are we celebrating, right?
Yeah.
What are we going to mass for? What, like, you know, the third Advent, there's another candle. Like, what is that about? Right? Like,
it's like every week.
Why? What is the nativity set about? And that's kind of super basic, right? Like most kids know what the nativity set is all about.
I guess that's the beauty of homeschooling, since every opportunity you have or you spend with your kid is basically schooling.
Yeah.
Right.
So many opportunities.
It's not just like hanging out.
No.
Part of it, yeah, of course, but it's basically all like schooling in general. And
yeah, that's so that is the great thing about it. There's so many opportunities to educate, and it's not just about the curriculum, but that's kind of one thing I don't understand is like why Hele is even a subject.
Yeah. All good. And how much you pay for like a subject, right?
How much do you pay for the school?
Yeah.
Right. And the books.
It is expensive. Yeah. And the books.
It's kind of silly, right? But I've heard other homeschooling parents complain about this. Is like they look at the book and they see that washing dishes is in the book. I was like, why are we wasting book material on this bullshit? Like, you can't figure this out as a parent, how to give your kid some damn chores. Like, tell your kid to take out the trash. Like, how difficult could it freaking be, dude? Like,
clean up
your
your mess.
School to tell you how to teach your kids house chores. You need to educate yourself as a parent. Like, get a life, dude. Like, stop whatever it is you're doing. Take a serious look at what you're teaching your kid and teach them how to do some damn chores. Like, don't expect the school to do it. That's ridiculous, man. The fact that Hele is even a subject like is kind of nonsense. Yeah. And then, you know, I remember when we were touring the school, the kids don't even get taught how to make the bed and do these things until high school, bro. Like, are you kidding me? It's too late, bro. Like, you think your high school kid's gonna like you should be teaching them, you know, way before that. Like, give me a break, dude. Like, come on, man. Anyway, so back to the point is the point of Christmas is it should be up to the parents should be emphasizing it, right? Like, it's up to us to emphasize those values.
Yeah, we can't let society dictate what Christmas means.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. And that's part of why I didn't just tell my kids Santa's not real just because I'm a dick.
Oh, Santa is real. And
Not that Santa. Like, this one, you know, where he comes into your and breaks into your house. That's the one I'm talking about. I told her Saint Nick is a real thing, is a real person, but the Santa that we talk about during Christmas season, the commercialized Santa,
the Coca-Cola dude.
Fuck that guy. Anyway, it's up to the parents.
Yeah, it's up to the parents.
That's the bottom line. Like, we got to step it up, dude. Like, don't let retailers tell you what Christmas should be.
Yeah, we
about.
are letting them educate our children. It's no longer us. Every day should be homeschooling, even if you're enrolled to a school.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, every opportunity should be like an education.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the downside of living in this highly materialistic world.
Yeah,
and,
we're hyper focused in that, gathering resources. The more resources you get, that's how we put you on a pedestal, right?
Yeah. And, you know, like, obviously I care about my family members and relatives, and if it, you know, we get together, and I think that's good as it is, like, to get together, to be amongst each other, and maybe give the kids something like that. I could spend some money there. Like,
that's nothing wrong with that.
As far as, like, you know, sorry, Papaloy, but like, I'm not gonna spend like so much money, like, you know, all of our cousins. Right? Like, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that others do that, but at the same time, like, I'm just like, you guys have so much. We all have so much stuff. Like, I don't think we need more stuff. Like, I think it would be way more cooler if, like, we got together and maybe did some games or, you know, did activities together. That would, like, if we were to go camping or fishing or so, like, that would be way better for me. compared to
Just going to hang out, right?
just hanging out, right? Like to me, those are the best times. It's
For
not
me, I'd be fine just going to church, really.
sure. We go out and
Celebrate Mass.
yeah,
Just
getting together, right? Like
yeah.
that's really the bottom line. Like, whatever gift you get, that's just icing on the cake.
Yeah. It's already a gift, like having a birthday, just getting to spend another round trip around our sun. It's kind of cool, right?
Yeah.
Every year you get to do that. Right.
I have come to really appreciate the Christmas here. Like I love the Christmas here compared to how we used to spend Christmas. Man, like Christmas here is way better. Than
right.
any
It's very festive. It's so it's lots of get-togethers every day. It's like Christmas party.
Yeah. I like that part. Like people really make it a point. Like the gym you go to will get together and get people together, right? Like
Just games.
yeah, all the groups. Like it's a busy month.
Wow.
So it's great that there is such a big emphasis in our culture here, and I love that part that it is. People look forward to it, and people want to celebrate with each other, right? And that's the great part about the culture. But it's just this aspect of the materialistic side that I have a problem with. But otherwise, Christmas is awesome here.
Yeah,
like I love it. I love that we get together and we have lunch and do whatever, and the kids get to see each other. And do all that stuff, and that's the part that really makes it worthwhile. It's not really, the gift giving part is just
just a bonus.
Just a bonus.
The gesture of giving, even just like a small one. Sometimes we just give out like keychains. It's a Filipino
maybe
thing, like
underwear, some socks. Like those things are always needed, right? You always need some new underwear.
Yeah. And then New Year, you go with a bang. It's funny, right? Like every New Year, we celebrate with fireworks, and then there's like wars going on, and we start the year with a bang. It says a lot about human beings, right?
Yeah.
Every New Year, we always start the year with a bang.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah. It's fun though. Man.
Yeah, it's fun though. Yeah.
It's always a memorable here. I mean, it's gotten like. It's gotten I don't know what to call it. It's gotten softer and softer every year.
Yeah, we used to have like crazy fireworks,
dude, till like 1 a.m.
Yeah, 1 a.m, and you can just light it up. Nobody's gonna arrest you.
Back to our dabbling in the occult in this culture. I had a interesting conversation with a fellow friend, and we won't say his name, obviously, but you know him. He's a yoga teacher, and for a long time now, him and his wife are both Christians, and yoga instructors for many years. It was part of their family business when they used to live in Luzon.
Oh.
And so I asked him recently, I was like, how, I told him you'd be a good person to ask about this topic because you're teaching yoga, you're a dedicated Christian, and he was like kind of laughing. It's like, oh, is it because it's like devil worship?
Yeah.
It was like
demonic or something.
I don't know. Does people actually? I didn't realize that was maybe like a concern. I was like, do people actually say that? Like doing yoga is devil worship? He was like, no. But, people have expressed concern about it. Like he was telling me about this retreat or something where they had a prayer where they were denouncing other practices that weren't Christian. And I guess they made a list. And, one of the things that was on the list was yoga. And I was like, oh, really? This is like, why is that? And he was, so he kind of explained and why he understood that, why it was a concern if you're a Christian that you're practicing yoga, because it's rooted in, in other gods.
Yeah,
right?
Polytheism. There's like thousands of gods maybe in Hinduism. I'm not sure. I get lost count. But it's the different gods, and that's what I heard. Yoga aspect. But anyway, what was his feedback?
Yeah, so he was explaining, that there are different parts of the practice that he basically just doesn't include anymore. Is like the chanting is
okay.
one thing that is, if you're like a true, I don't know what they call it, like a more pure yoga instructor, you include the chants that happen at the beginning, and then at the end. I believe there is also a chant before you end the practice.
Oh, okay. So he got rid of some of the chants.
Right.
My guess is perhaps some of the chants would be calling upon the spirits of some of the
I'm not even
Hindu
gonna-
gods. Yeah, it could be. I'm not familiar
gonna-
with
Yeah.
you know,
not gonna
yoga
pretend like I know.
terminology.
I mean, I've heard the chants because I've been to yoga sessions, and that's why I wanted to ask him because I feel like I benefited from doing from yoga. And-
Me too. I mean, I've done it like a lot of, especially during COVID.
Yeah, exactly.
We were together.
Yeah, I did. I didn't practice it in that way where I chanted every morning,
Yeah.
but I was doing the poses every day during pandemic. So not just during that time, but I used to go to the studio with my wife, and that's why I kind of felt conflicted about that whole stance about it. And so when he kind of told me like, yeah, it's got the chants, it's got the calling upon maybe whatever. Like I'm not even gonna pretend like I know all that stuff, but he's saying that it kind of excludes that now.
Maybe some of the chants. I'm not sure. But I would have to defer to this priest who did have some good advice about it,
okay.
because he was asked the same question, and his response was, it depends. Some priests will really have like a strong opinion against it, but this
Okay.
particular priest was saying like it's okay as long doing the poses, but calling upon the spirit, doing it as a stretching routine, something like that. But
Okay.
doing the whole practice of really invoking some type of spirit or entity into your space, then that becomes the problem. But just doing
Sure.
it as a exercise, form of exercise, then it's perfectly fine. But some exorcists would warn against it. I don't know why. I'm not really a regular practitioner of yoga. I just try it when it's there.
Yeah.
But I would have to defer to that. Just doing it as a form of exercise rather than like a lifestyle thing.
Sure.
But I did come across this thing called Christian meditation. It's from Father Lawrence. I forgot his name. His first name. Anyway, Father Lawrence. I think he belongs to the Benedictine monks. They're a different religious order, and he did recommend doing this one mantra. It's called Maranatha. Maranatha is the Aramaic. That's the language Jesus used. It's "Come, Lord." So he recommended that using that mantra when doing meditation.
In Hindu or like
He did practice Eastern meditation. He kind of incorporated it into, but this is the misconception according to Father Lawrence, because meditation is not just a Hindu thing. It's not just an Eastern thing. It's not just a Buddhist thing. It was also a Christian thing, apparently. The Desert Fathers.
is that right?
Yeah, the Desert Fathers, especially
interesting.
during early Christianity, did practice their prayers included a lot of meditations. They were not just, thank you, Father, doing that. I've found out even some of the saints how they lived their spiritual lives. They incorporated a lot of spiritual meditation. The Christian way is a
Okay.
bit different. With his recommendation on doing that Maranatha breathing,
I don't know.
you just repeat that word, Maranatha. Sit down on a comfortable. You don't have to do the lotus position.
Uh-huh.
You could just sit down with
Sure.
straight. I'll send a video to you anyway, but this is how it goes.
Okay.
So you just repeat that Maranatha and focus on the word. You don't have to focus on the meaning, but because I've also been trying some Eastern prayers that's kind of repetitive.
Okay.
It's called the Orthodox Jesus prayer. Our Eastern brothers, Eastern brothers and sisters from the Orthodox faith and Eastern Catholics do this prayer called the Jesus prayer.
Okay.
It's just basically repeating, "Lord Jesus Christ, have mercy upon me, a sinner." And you can incorporate breathing with that. Like, "Lord Jesus Christ," and breathe again, "Son of God, have mercy upon me, a sinner." Just repeat that until you start to focus on your prayers.
Okay.
But basically, that prayer encapsulates everything. Lord, you're asking the Lord. You're recognizing you're a sinner. You're asking for mercy. You're humbling yourself. So it's kind of like a call to humility, even. So there's a lot of it's a very simple. That's the beauty of it. It's the simplicity. And that Father Lawrence recommended, that Christian meditation thing, was really, I haven't really even scratched the surface yet. I've just been trying this out, like a couple of incorporate, because I usually do the rosaries, usual Angelus 3 times a day. The early Christians would do the Angelus 6 a.m. in the morning. You do it 12 o'clock at noon, and in the afternoon, and it involves a lot of fasting. Apparently, Catholics today, modern ones, don't really value fasting anymore. I don't, but I want to, because I want to practice it. But that's how the old Catholics did it. It was really difficult, man. Even before you go to Mass, everybody used to fast. They just didn't recommend that practice anymore because some people would pass out during Mass.
When you say fast, does that mean like
you don't eat
40 days? Or
no,
something?
not 40 days. Just a day before.
The day before.
Yeah, it's your way of sacrificing, even
I see.
doing sacrifices as well.
Sure.
So fasting was really a thing. And going back to meditation, one misconception is that Christians can do meditation, especially Catholics do.
Right.
It's just that we lost that art. If you study the early Christians, especially the Eastern traditions, they're heavily involved with meditations.
Okay.
And I still haven't. I'm far from even mastering it, or even just barely scratching the surface here. But I do want to learn how to pray like that, or even meditate like that.
Yeah.
Calling only the Holy Spirit, or God the Father, just our in our own faith, without letting other forces interfere with my space.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a something that most of us should, especially us Catholics, should be aware of, since we incorporate a lot of external practices that are not really rooted within the faith.
Yeah, this is an area that's interesting, because I find it unfortunate that our church doesn't seem to have something of a moving meditation, right? Like qigong, like tai chi, like yoga, right? I understand the concern with the intention of your yoga practice, and if you're a yoga instructor, it makes sense that you would need to go deeper into the practice and get into those chants and understand the native language part of it. And when I was doing those things, like the physical part, because I don't know the other side of it, and then usually the end of your practice is the last pose is the meditation pose. You lie on your back. Like that's the part that people joke about, where they go to sleep
or fart.
Fart. Yeah. But that is I found that to be a really interesting way to exert the mental energy and get the mind into the place of meditation. So if what you're saying is like, I agree that meditation, and this is being promoted by priests as well in the Catholic Church, that meditation is something that we should be doing.
Yeah.
It is part of our practice.
Just being present, right?
Yeah.
Like when you're in
Right.
in a space where you just being
Meditation
present.
and prayer are kind of like, I don't want to call it the same, but they really have a lot of crossover, right?
Yeah.
So if that's true, then getting your body essentially to exert the stress, or get your body in a state where your mind can focus, makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So I feel like there was a time when I did I bought like this Qigong for Beginners DVD. This was back when our Lula was still in the hospital.
Yeah.
And I actually did that because that's what actually got me through staying in the hospital with her for like a week. Because I was doing those things in the hospital room. I was getting funny looks from like the helpers and stuff. But I felt like it really helped me.
Yeah,
it really got me through those exhausting days of doing the night shift. And essentially that's the time where I met my wife.
Yeah,
and during that time, and I was doing that actively, right? And they have certain poses, and then like you like rub your belly in a certain way to channel the energy, right? So I feel like that it's unfortunate that it might. I don't know if it is true. Maybe you know more than I do that maybe it's a lost art, or maybe there is something to it.
That I haven't really like taken like a deeper look into it, but I do know that there's like a very deeper level of spirituality that especially our Eastern Catholic or Orthodox brothers from the East like practice.
Yeah,
it's really something that I'm just barely starting to explore, but it's good to know that there's that aspect of the faith, because we have this perception like we just kneel down and then
right.
It's much deeper than that. It is a well of helpful tools that we can really use. And even with spiritual warfare, we're not even I was just barely learning about this, and now I want to incorporate it with my parenting. How to battle your own demons. So I've been like giving her the basic idea of the battle between good and evil, and what does the battle entail, and how do we incorporate it in our stories? Dragons and knights, right?
Sure.
You're fighting this dragon. It's the even in scriptures, we describe the enemy as serpent-like, nahash. In Hebrew, like it's not really a snake in the Bible. It's more like nahash, the serpent-like thing. I don't know what's the nature of it really, but it always pervades with our stories, right? In our fiction, even there's dragons. We battle that thing, and we need to fight it. And so that spiritual warfare is something that us parents should participate in. That's just my opinion, and also teach our kids in how to battle not just the self, because there's so much that the trauma that they're gonna be finding out pretty soon. It's gonna be there. It's inevitable, right?
Yeah.
You can't be in a bubble forever. Our parents thought we were going to grow up in a bubble, but we were introduced to traumas as well, and we had to fight that. Sometimes it takes a long time, but it's better if you equip your kids already with that idea. And good thing, I mean, being Catholic, I have so much tools that I can use now that gives me sort of this strength. Sacramentals. I have the rosary. I have a crucifix. I don't know. I don't care if other people won't believe it, or it does give protection to the house. But for me, it does. There's like this. You can even feel it sometimes when you cleanse the space around you when you do prayers, or even expel those dragons away from your home. It does the thing. And the more you practice it, it's just the more it becomes more what do you call this? Instinctive and natural. When you get to, and the funny thing is that the more you do it, you get under attack.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. One thing while you're, it's one thing I think we should also be careful though is that we don't release ourselves from the responsibility of taking action for dealing with those things. So like you're saying, you want to teach your kid how to deal with the demons. as long as we don't try to say, we don't always blame something else, because we have to take responsibility for some things, right? Like it might be the trauma that and the fear that we experience is where the demons are kind of have their opening, right? Like that's the understanding.
That's why when they say when you're welcoming things into your space, that's what happens sometimes when you're not being. I'd like to go. It's not really off tangent, but kind of related. Go to this viral story where it's been popping up in the news lately with this adult performer. What do you call her? She's on OnlyFans, who basically made headlines. Yesterday, was it yesterday when I sent you that?
Oh yeah.
Anyway, so she had this stunt where she basically had intimacy with just sex with 100 dudes in one day, right? Holy crap. And it's all over social media. It's on YouTube.
Like,
there's a documentary.
That was like the goal.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go back to spirituality, but
Bonnie Blue. Blue.
Not that, but they were talking about it as well.
Oh,
but you
okay.
can play
She's
that
the one who reacted to it.
She's also kind of doing that. The OnlyFans.
Oh my gosh! Like, she's not the only one.
Yeah, we can start with her. So it's not an isolated case.
Okay.
Yeah, you can you open that one and go to the 2-minute mark, I think, on the video, if I'm not mistaken. Anyway, while waiting, there's this girl. Her name is Lily Phillips. Doesn't help that she shares the same name with my daughter. Who just did like a whole marathon, and then they made a documentary about it, which is, I don't know what to. It's getting so normal now, where before this would be unthinkable, right?
Okay, let me bring this up.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll just play this one because they're kind of like similar stories. So these gals are also on OnlyFans. I think.
Okay. So they're both on.
Yeah, they're both on, and they have a podcast as well. So kudos to them, I guess.
This is not the right video.
Yeah, that's the one.
It's not showing the right video.
Oh, in the. Anyway, while waiting for that, so yeah, the stunt was 24 hours, random strangers, and have sex with them. That was it.
Wow, like that's the.
And the funny thing is that according to her, anyway, let's play this video first.
Okay, so this is about 1:48. Is that okay?
Yeah.
That is I didn't really know what was going off, to be honest. Someone asked me about water sports, and I thought they meant like fishing and jet ski, and I was like, I love that. And then they was like, no, not that type. And yeah, like they gave me the confidence, like having hundreds of people coming on a website saying, oh, you're beautiful, or like wanting to see more videos of me. So yeah, I was like, you know what, I'll try OnlyFans.
Have you always like loved sex? Is that something for
Always
you?
loved it, but never.
Damn.
We're not on premium.
Just get into the good part.
I love sex.
I gotta play this commercial.
We're not on premium.
No. Okay, here we go.
Just like, oh, I love sex. I hate how taboo the whole subject is.
I'm exactly
And
the
that was
same.
like the end of it, really. I hadn't
I
thought too
really
much of
don't
it.
see it how people see it. I think it's like
It's pleasurable. It's like a hobby. Some people play cricket, some who play football.
Yeah.
Some people like activities in the bedroom.
so for anyone who doesn't know what you do
Yes.
and who you are, please explain.
Okay, so I'm Bonnie Blue, and I sleep with anyone from 18-year-olds, virgins, dads, husbands, anyone that basically wants me to pleasure him.
That's how casual it is now.
Yeah. Nice to meet you. You sound like a great gal. Man. Wow. Okay. Let's keep going.
It's so iconic. What was your childhood
So
like? Sorry to get super
iconic.
deep super
Yeah.
quickly, because I feel like your
Whoa.
parents must be quite liberal to be like so accepting of you.
Yeah.
Yes, it's definitely like no daddy issues. Like people think if you do this job, like, my gosh, you must have had a troubled background. It's like, that was not the case. Very normal family.
Because I've seen that your
Something
dad is
normal
actually
about
really
that.
supportive and he goes out handing out
Yes,
flyers
yeah.
for you and
My
stuff.
mom and dad, it's like a family business.
Yeah.
Okay. So
So the mom and the dad are
no
in,
daddy issues there, right?
but her daddy, her father is supporting her,
It's
and
a
her
family
mom.
business,
It's a
she
family
said.
business.
Whoa.
So as long as you're making the point of their conversation was as long as you're making the greens,
yeah.
it's okay.
Yeah,
I mean, all right,
yeah.
it's making money. Go for it. Are you a prostitute? No. Obviously, you're just gonna post some nude pictures. But
I don't
then,
think this is way beyond nude pictures, dude.
Yeah,
100,
but-
dude, like I'll just do your husband. And
yeah.
like,
And
come
here's the
on.
funny thing,
Wow,
because
dude,
that gal I was talking about who did that 100-man stunt has the same kind of story. Like she has a dad, a mom. Because our usual perception is that some of these gals, mostly, they don't have really strong father figures, right? So they go into this business. But the surprising thing about these gals are their father. They belong to a family that's not starving. They're
Right.
pretty well
So-
off, I think. And
So this is a shout out to we're doing reaction style videos, so shout out to our inspiration, Mighty Noipi channel.
yeah,
We're now
It's the
we're
first time.
officially in the
I don't really
reaction.
our first time, but we
This
just
is our first reaction video, and I gotta say, shout out to our friend Charlie. And one thing he did point out at the whole YOLO incident, the father is still in the picture, right?
Oh,
so
yeah,
in
yeah.
this case, is not different. It's not like you can say that they're a broken family,
yeah.
but the father, how can you say that he's a strong leader in this
Yep.
case? And I'm not saying he makes the decisions for her, because she's
Yeah.
clearly an adult,
Yeah.
right? So she can make her own decisions and has the right to. But at the same time, what happened during the upbringing that allowed this to manifest,
Yeah.
right?
Strange.
Okay, so this
Anyway,
this
we
is.
can stop there because I just wanted to highlight that.
I'm not sure if I want to stop. This is crazy.
It's a long video,
Okay,
and I
yeah,
haven't
that's,
finished it even. But
That's
Um,
intense, dude.
in fairness to the ladies, that's your business. But
Yeah, that's your business. But
kids are not necessarily just kids are watching, but if you're promoting like that level of fornication, just virgins 18 years old and husbands, and you're so proud about it, I don't think that's something that we should be endorsing at all.
yeah,
Like,
I mean, this is something that came up on the before, where we're talking about lawlessness.
yeah,
Right. This is lawlessness. This is why. What was the father that the exorcist guy is saying that this is the message that he got, is that this is way worse than Sodom and
Yeah,
Gomorrah,
yeah.
right? Like, clearly,
it's almost
this
like
is on YouTube. Dude.
Yeah.
This is on YouTube.
call us old fashioned. We were both pretty wild before in our youth, but man, the way things are going right now, it's just I can't even recognize it anymore. Like, what the hell is going
Yeah.
on?
Okay. So having the right to choose is one thing, but
Yeah.
when you're like openly talking about the husbands lineup and
Yeah.
like, oh really? Like, this is something you're actually proud of. I don't understand. Like, and your family is involved
Yeah.
in the whole and no daddy issues, but
Yeah.
he's the one counting the dollars.
In the old days,
What the
that
hell is that?
attitude used to be admonished in society. I don't know why we're too soft right now on.
And yet-
I mean, I'm
this
I'm
is-
all for what do you call this? Freedom, your expression, freedom to whatever. To each his own. But society used to at least not condone those types of attitudes, right? I mean,
Yeah. So this is the thing. This is what we're dealing with right now. But
Yeah.
at the same time, people are talking about toxic masculinity.
Yeah, toxic
Are you
masculinity.
kidding me? How this is not toxic, dude? Like, openly inviting married people to
Yeah.
go bang you? Like, what the F is that? How can that be not
Yeah.
toxic? But uploading videos of me going to the gym and flexing and all, like somehow that's toxic. But this is okay, right? Like this is how fucked up our society is right now. It's okay to put this on YouTube.
Yeah, I mean,
But,
even
like,
that
what
stunt,
the
that
hell?
100 dude stunt that she did is like, there's a documentary about this. The documentary was pretty well made. I think the production quality is really top notch, and even I forgot the channel name, but he did it so well that it was respectful of the lady. I kind of feel sorry for her, but when she announced that she's going to do 1,000, I was like, oh man.
Wow.
I thought you kind of like, she cried at the end of the documentary.
Why?
I don't know, something just
Like she was so happy she
no,
cried.
not happy, but there was some deep scars. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
there
That makes sense.
yeah, but then
If she cried with joy, I'm like, oh man, this is over, man.
but afterwards, at the end of the video, she kind of announced that I'm gonna do 1,000 this
Oh,
February.
man.
So I was like,
oh man, she just like dove deeper into the hole.
yeah,
Wow, that's
it's like it's hard to watch. Really,
What did she say when she was crying? Did she say
I don't
anything?
know.
Or
She
just
said
cried
it
and-
kind of like felt different. she didn't even like endorse it,
after
like
the
doing it.
50th one,
Yeah,
it didn't feel
after-
different.
yeah.
Like, man.
So,
Took 100 for you to figure out, like, this is probably. And then she goes and ups
Yeah.
the tally. Like,
I mean, like-
whoa, wow, that's
it's something.
no daddy issues though, right? No daddy issues.
Yeah, there's something like really wrong with us, right? I mean, that's not even a question anymore. If you're not blind, you can see things right now of where we are standing on. What are we standing on?
This this is lawlessness, man. This is just chaos.
It's crazy.
And this is the thing, right? Like the chaos is where the devil does his thing.
Yeah.
right? This is why it's said that God likes order, right?
Yeah.
If you can't even come to make your bed in the morning
Yeah.
or to fix your household, I mean,
It's kind of like
look at the world. man.
Yeah.
Like, the chaos is gonna consume us. Right?
it's kind of like we need to sing again in a choir. That's what the whole thing is about, like being in a choir, like get together in a harmonious resonance instead of everybody just riffing,
yeah.
doing his own metal thing, and we get off. I don't know, man. It's crazy. I was so shocked. I mean, I'm a pretty liberal dude. In a way, I grew up being very liberated. Even I had some wild days in the past, but even now, I'm just like, holy crap! Maybe this is just the dad in me.
Yeah. It's, good thing we're not in our 20s now.
Yeah, I
huh?
know.
Can you imagine what it
Oh,
would have been
man.
like to be like that now?
That's how
My
much-
goodness.
That's why porn needs to be eliminated.
It needs to
That is
go
just
away.
my opinion now.
Yeah.
man.
No, I'm there with you, man.
Yeah,
I'm there with you.
they need to shut down Pornhub. There's a petition. Remember, I said to you that.
yeah.
Apparently, they're into some shady shit.
Trafficking is as shady as it
Trafficking.
gets, man.
So every time you watch using that medium, or even going to Pornhub, just remember you are participating in an act where you are aiding them with their crimes. So think about that. Just that. So I know it's hard. To
No pun intended.
yeah. No pun intended. You really like just engaging in that what do you call this activity?
Can you still recall? I remember if you when we spoke with Romar.
Yeah,
Remember you brought that
yeah,
up.
Yeah.
Do you still remember those statistics?
Yeah.
The Philippines.
We used to be number one, I guess, on Pornhub. We used to spend around 10 minutes or more a day. That's a lot too. Like even females here are now in the statistics. Huh? Funny.
Yeah.
In the,
Yeah, and it's the thing that you sent the other week. I passed that around and shared it to some group chats about. It's funny when you're not, you don't seem to be you don't have a squad when you're like promoting anti-porn.
Yeah,
you,
it's
don't,
like
you don't seem to like. No one seems to jump on that.
and you kind of like sound like a crazy dude, like what a square dude, right? When you're anti porn.
Is this
These
loser doesn't watch
days.
porn?
Yeah.
Like, give me a break, dude. Like, people have no idea. Like, I didn't know any either.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I was.
I'm not gonna act like I never watched porn. Like,
Yeah.
I definitely did, and that's why I'm glad I don't anymore. And the things that the realities that we know now,
Yeah.
speak for itself.
And especially as married men, why should
married men,
why
yeah,
should
yeah.
I be spending my time watching other women get naked
Right.
online or watching naked women online? That is just I mean, for me, I'm not trying to be like squeaky clean, I'm just your next door sinner, but I just kind of like value my marriage.
Yeah,
That to the point
yeah.
where if I have to practice what I preach, Jesus did say that every time, he said, I tell you, every time you look at another woman with lust, you're already engaging in adultery with that woman. So yeah, it is true, because if I fantasize about another woman, then I betray my wife, even if it's just in my imagination. That's how extreme Christianity is,
Yeah.
to the point of you really have to uproot that particular sin in your life, such as lust. So you have to uproot that looking at other people with malice.
Yeah. So tell me what you think about this, because I have we're men at the end of the day,
Yeah.
right? I mean, we have a drive, and if you, especially for those that are active in physical activities, you will have a higher level of testosterone. And that's just a side effect of being active, right? And we should be active. So if we are active, we're going to have a higher level of testosterone. So your sex drive is going to be higher,
Yeah.
right? So in that sense, then what's the practical solution to deal with our sex drive? Right? That's a real concern.
There is this thing called practice of chastity.
Okay.
I know it's difficult.
So wait,
for me, it's probably one of the most difficult.
give the background. Like, where does this come from? Is this like a Catholic practice?
Yeah,
or-
it is a Catholic practice.
Okay,
It's
so-
part of even doing penance.
Okay.
If I say I want to be free from lust, I would even have to practice chastity sometimes. Like, if just adult talk adult talk lang, in case there are kids out there. If you like playing with yourself, I would have to stop myself from doing that sometimes.
Okay. Like no fap November. Or
Yeah, or
something like
even if all the time, but it's not really called to like that. But I'm just saying, for the sake of working on that particular sin, doing penance in a way by practicing chastity is also one way, just like fasting. Like I'm not gonna
sure.
have food as a
Yeah.
way of penance, sacrifice. It's also chastity. Is also there's that what do you call that area of practicing it spiritually.
that. Sure.
And it also shows why Jesus needed to be, or I think was what do you call this, a chaste man. You don't see him having wives, or even maybe in the Gnostic Gospels, but it's another story. But
Sure.
in the canon, at least,
Yeah.
that what we agree on, he's married to the church, not to another woman.
Okay.
So there's that level of chastity where they say why chastity is important in Christianity, because in a way it's unnatural, and it's unnatural, so meaning it's even more of a masculine thing. Masculine meaning when you're in total control of your impulses, your basic animalistic what do you call this, urges. So if you're able to control that, then perhaps you have become the new man, the new Adam. That is what Christ was, being the I think who described it, the philosopher, the Ubermensch, the Superman, something like when you're in control. So chastity is a way of control. You're not giving to your urges. Or fasting, like
Yeah.
when you do fasting, you're not giving into your urges of wanting sugar.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so there's a deep rooted practice in Catholicism in that aspect of sacrifice
Okay.
as a way of doing penance and thing. It's interesting. It's
So
hard.
what-
I'm not saying I'm doing it right now, but
yeah.
that's the way it's.
Well, if you wanna fast from sex, well, just get married, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just kidding. Yeah,
Exactly, yeah.
But I mean, what about just lusting for your wife?
That's one thing that I am on the fence now, but I know that it's wrong.
Why is that?
Yeah, this
I
is.
mean, okay, so let me maybe clarify. Like, you're not gonna like lust to the point where like that's all you're doing is just
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Let's say
There's a
you're-
fine line.
You're,
There's a fine
you're
line.
fapping all day long into the pictures of your wife.
But of course, we're
I'm not
allowed-
talking about that
Yeah,
where
yeah.
it's like obsessive
Yeah, I get it.
lust. But I mean, if you're gonna fantasize,
Yeah, just wanting.
what's
your,
wrong with
yeah,
fantasizing about your wife?
fantasizing about your
Is it,
wife?
like, what is? Is that
For
still?
me, I'm still on the fence on that because of
Why
course
is that?
it doesn't really I mean it doesn't help where I really desire my wife. I mean she's a beautiful lady. I love her, and she's the only one I really desire right now. Of course,
It's the only one that we should desire.
Yeah, we
right?
should desire.
That's the rules, right? I mean,
Yeah.
not just the rules, but like that's what we believe,
yeah,
right?
But
and it
the-
makes sense. 'cause-
There is though this other side of the line where the lust becomes like an obsession. So that's what I'm trying to
yeah,
avoid.
but
Yeah.
you see, that's I think anything can be excessive, right? Just like the Bible doesn't say not to get rich.
Yeah.
But it tells you to help people
Yeah.
if you have that extra.
Or it
right?
doesn't
Like-
even prevent us from gathering or making money.
Right.
It doesn't even say that.
So
you can make money.
anything
Yeah.
can become excessive, right? So even like I was just reading Luke with my daughter, and John the Baptist is like saying, you if you have extra, you help, right? Basically, that's in the scriptures. Like
Yeah,
you
yeah.
have. If you can help, if you have the capacity to help, that's what you should do. It's not saying that you shouldn't get to the capacity where you can help. That's like,
Yeah.
I don't
get it,
don't
yeah.
think it's promoting being like in poverty, right? Like
Yeah.
that's not the message that I'm getting.
Yeah.
But
Desiring your wife maybe
desiring
is
your
good.
wife.
Yeah. I mean
yeah.
that's
maybe
maybe
it
not
depends what
lusting.
level of lust
Yeah,
you're talking about, right?
Yeah, I think I get your point because I
If you're gonna fap to your wife,
yeah.
right? If you're gonna look at pictures of your wife.
Yeah, just
right?
not any other.
Right.
Maybe we can just at least figure it out if it's really hard because now it's a thing.
No pun intended.
Yeah, it's really hard and of course, right? I mean, that makes sense too. Like I only have eyes for you.
Yeah,
So at
yeah.
least like if I desire a woman, then you are the only one that I desire.
Yeah.
Of course, as it should
Right.
be.
Like
Right.
I mean, come on, man. Like I fantasize, right? Like that's just like I don't know if I just can't. I don't have enough control over myself, and
Yeah.
maybe I'm just. That's an impulse of mine that maybe I have to deal with.
Yeah,
But
and-
like, I would rather channel that energy towards my wife than like, fuck it, I'm just gonna go watch some OnlyFans.
Yeah,
and
exactly,
shit,
right?
Like,
So of
I-
course, and we're allowed to be playful in marriage.
Yeah.
Of course, well, that's part of it. I mean, we are we are sexual beings, but that sexual nature of us is, if I'm not mistaken, yeah, this is it's supposed to be for procreation. That's at least the old school, the teaching, not just old school until now, I guess. But it's not really like a mortal sin if we have sex for fun. Probably it used to be, but I'm sure times have changed. So they have now what we call natural family planning. But of course, I know that this one's a fact. What do you call this? Contraceptives are really it's not they don't endorse that.
yeah,
But natural family planning is okay.
yeah,
That's what I heard,
I think you have to have a certain level of acceptance. Like if
Yeah.
you get your wife pregnant, like you can't go abort it.
Yeah, abort
right?
it.
Like,
You got to take responsibility
yeah.
and be open to the possibility that if you engage in sex, then you will probably get pregnant or welcome life when it
right.
arrives. So
Right. So track that calendar, bro.
Yeah. Exactly.
You know what I'm
That's why
saying?
the calendar method is still
Yeah. So
the
I think
best
you
method.
shouldn't be like just like a mindless idiot trying,
Yeah,
to, trying to
just
have sex
try-
with your wife
yeah.
all the time. Like that's one thing, right? Like
Just
you
be
obviously
mindful that every time you engage in lovemaking, there's a possibility that you might get a child. And
Yeah.
it's hard when you start regretting it. It's not healthy for the baby when you start regretting things and then your wife is pregnant and you're like, oh man, I should have fucking pulled out. Sorry. I should have just skipped this one, right? Sorry, but it happens sometimes.
I'm sure it does to some people. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we only have one, bro. Like-
But welcome life. Of course, we welcome life if it's there. We love our kids. And
oh yeah.
although I'm still a one-child policy for now.
Yeah, we have to accept that, right?
Yeah,
if we're
yeah.
gonna engage in like for
Yeah.
me, I don't like chastity, man. Like
Yeah.
abstinence with the wife. Like I don't know.
That's
Like-
one indicator where I can say like I'm not hardcore Catholic yet because I only
Yeah.
got one kid. If you look at the hardcore Catholics, it's at least 3.
Yeah. I don't know about that.
Yeah.
Isa lang mahal na kayo.
Isa lang, mahal na yun.
Gastos.
Wow.
Grabe gastos. But yeah, can we take a break real quick? I need to step
Yeah,
outside.
yeah.
I don't know, man.
Yeah, so we were
Let's keep
talking about
going. It's
marriage
all right,
before
man.
the break.
It's Sunday,
So-
bro.
Yeah.
This is family time. This is Tatay time. Keep on going, bro.
Yeah, because we were joking around, like talking about that gal who did a 100-man challenge. It used to be like remember before when Chris Rock had that stand up joke where if you have a daughter, like our jobs are to keep them off the pole.
Yeah.
Now it's
yeah.
like keep them off of OnlyFans. It's digital now.
Things are a little bit different these days. So this is what happened. The pole upgraded, dude. The pole upgraded and is now
Yeah.
an official sport.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, it's an
I've seen
official
it. I've
sport.
seen it.
I'm not saying
It looks
anything
great.
against it.
It looks
I'm not saying
great.
anything against it. I'm just saying
Yeah.
the pole is upgraded. So
Yeah.
now
It's
we're
a
talking about
sport.
OnlyFans. Let's keep our daughters
Yeah.
off of OnlyFans.
Oh, man.
Like,
They should shut that down. But of course, they're making a lot of money with that. I've heard it goes around 6 figures or more even. So that's their business. But still, I mean, it's destructive, really. And
people need more sports, bro. Like,
yeah.
what the hell are we talking about?
we need to
Like,
come up with better ways in how to make income. I think, not just with our bodies and
Right.
the way we consume it. We're too obsessed with consuming flesh. It's crazy. It's like
Yeah. Any idea what's the deal there? I mean, it's so accessible now to hear this woman inviting married
Yeah.
people. I mean,
I can
that's openly on YouTube.
yeah. I can only conclude, at least from my perspective, that there really is something nefarious about this whole thing that is driving our realm now, in our world.
It's
I
kind
mean,
of confusing because it seems like the acceptance of spirituality in general is becoming more in the forefront of culture, right? Like there are more people talking about spirituality and because of psychedelics,
yeah, psychedelics,
or because of
Feel
practices
good.
like
Yeah.
yoga, like
yeah,
these are things that are growing all over the place, right?
and it's
Like,
quite acceptable, right? But then,
it seems like it.
yeah, the
but-
moment you talk about Christ, people react for some reason.
Right.
I've
Yeah.
noticed that. I don't know why.
Yeah.
It's always like okay, it's okay if we mention what's the name of that Hindu god?
The new age stuff.
yeah, the
I
New
don't want
Age
to call it new
stuff.
age because this has been around for
Yeah, just the other types of spirits. But when we call upon the Holy Spirit, it just
Yeah.
suddenly becomes, I don't know, like people just react differently to it. I mean, we don't do street preaching, but I do watch some of it, and they always get a reaction. Although I don't really endorse that kind of stuff, like evangelizing on the streets.
I know someone that calls herself a witch.
Really,
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't know if I
like she
mentioned-
practices like witchcraft and
I don't know to
spells?
what I don't know to what degree, but
Oh.
when I had this lady was my roommate at the time, and she's a Reiki practitioner.
Oh.
And she called herself a witch.
Oh.
Like no joke. Like
Yeah.
that's how she identified herself, right?
Yeah.
I don't know to what degree.
Yeah.
Like if she's doing spells and stuff like that.
Mm.
And I can tell you there was definitely an experience I didn't understand where she did some Reiki on me, and I didn't know.
Mm.
I had an experience I still don't understand. Like I'll just go through the explanation. Like she offered to do Reiki on me, and at the time I was curious about it. You know, like you said, curiosity is
Yeah, it's not really a virtue, and I've heard that from
That-
exorcists. So they're the ones that
Yeah.
like keep saying like it's not a virtue. I was thinking hard about it. Like, yeah, I think that's kind of true.
yeah.
Especially when you get too curious.
And this is a time when I was far from Christ, right? And so I'm going to meditation groups and things like that, thinking I'm doing positive things for myself, right? And during this time, and outside of that was my roommate, my housemate, who was a Reiki practitioner / witch, and offered to do some Reiki on me one day. And so I'm laying down, and she's doing her thing. I have my eyes closed, and then at some point, man, it felt like there was something that went into my body, like it's like a glove.
Oh,
You know, it's like came
but then
and just hugged every inch of my body,
Whoa,
dude.
that is a trip.
It was a trip, and
Yeah.
dude, I still to this day I still don't understand what happened that day. And
but somebody laid hands on you.
no.
I mean,
just
like
yeah,
like laying off hands.
yeah. Is it-
I'd be too scared to do that now, but before I did because I also dabbled in the in practices in the New Age practice before. But now, since I'm in this fold, it's really like difficult when you're like having other people lay hands on you because yeah, exactly when you're saying that you're letting other forces that is like letting it have permission,
yeah,
something like
yeah,
that.
basically.
Yeah.
You want it? You need to get
Oh
that?
yeah. I'll just answer this. I think. All right. Sorry about that. I had to do daddy duties.
Yeah, no worries.
So yeah, we were on the subject of laying of hands and Reiki, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was an interesting experience, and
So did it feel good or?
I can't say that it felt bad or it felt good. It was a different kind of sensation that I still have yet to experience in the same way. You know,
But there was definitely something like.
Oh yeah. It wasn't just like my foot was tingling or something like that. It was like a full body experience.
Nice.
You know, without touching me physically.
Oh.
Yeah, it wasn't like some weird thing where.
Were there are there like chants in Reiki or just the energy?
I wasn't aware of any chants happening. Maybe there was. Maybe in her own mind. Maybe there was something else going on.
Interesting.
I'm not really
I've
sure.
tried that before.
Yeah, I'm not even fully aware of what the practice was, and it was just during that time I was into those things.
But it did help. I mean, from a functional, utilitarian, what do you call this experience? It did help a lot with your well-being, or
I don't know exactly. I don't know exactly. Like that during that time, I couldn't say that it helped me in a particular way, or it didn't help me in any particular way. But it was an experience that I definitely don't deny that it was something different.
Yeah. But you did feel something like.
Oh yeah. It
Interesting.
was. Yeah. It wasn't just like, I feel lightheaded,
Yeah.
or I like, it's not like when you hit a bong, you're like, "Rrr," and then like it goes away, something like that. It was different. And the fact that it was like a very specific type of sensation was different. And during that time, like I mentioned, I was going to group meditations, and there was another experience that I had with that same housemate that I think I can't remember if I knew about the group meditation nearby. This was back in California, and you can find group meditations. And it wasn't a particular practice as far as I'm aware. It was like I think it was like a local bookshop or something like that, or something like that. Anyway, it was like a side room from their cafe thing or whatever it is, like their antiquity shop, or I don't know what it is, jewelry or something. They were selling random stuff in there. They had a side room for the group meditation, and so we went in there, and we were there was some kind of chanting going on, and then I remember that also was a very different experience.
Yeah.
Like I felt there was something else in the room.
Whoa.
Like I can't say it was demonic or it was like
but
evil.
you did feel
but
at
I
least
was like,
some...
dude, there is something happening here. It's like the way I interpreted at the time was just like it was like the energy. It was like because we were all together. It was like a group.
This
of
is
people.
in California.
This is in California, yeah. So there was a group of people. We're all sitting on the floor. I think some of us had pillows and whatever. And it was like people were very friendly. Yeah, these were great.
Yeah, I mean the new
people.
age crowd
Yeah.
can be really even sharing. I mean,
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Absolutely.
I've
It
been
was
with
like
them
that.
before too. I mean, man, spiritually we've been around, like spiritual whores.
Yeah, I guess that's one way to think about it. Yeah,
We've been around, slept around, man.
yeah. Been
So
around
you
the
did
been
like,
around the block.
Yeah, you did feel something. Let's just, how do you describe it? Like otherworldly?
I
or-
would. That's the only way that I would.
Yeah.
It was something.
I mean, with psychedelics, I did feel something.
And it wasn't just like, oh, I feel happy. Like I felt like I would describe it as something up here. You know what I mean? And something that was up here and that was bringing some kind of energy into this group session.
Yeah.
Whether it was, I didn't feel like it was a evil presence.
Yeah.
But what the hell do I know?
Yeah, well, yeah.
Well, how would I know
it
the
didn't
difference?
feel like evil, especially when I was still there was a time I was lighting sage. It was just called just good vibes.
Sure.
I would just call it good vibes for any
Yeah.
probably a spirit. I don't know, but
Yeah.
that's the thing though, because I don't know. I'm just calling in whatever
Right,
should
right.
give me good vibes right
Very
now.
cliche with the
Yeah.
with the crunchies.
Because I used to love just doing what do you call that when you're lighting sage and then
Yeah, aromatherapy,
Ooh,
things like that.
just, there was a term before. I just forgot the practice, the name of the practice. But anyway, so you would light sage and then just call something, which I was so ignorant, just calling whatever. But was it the same thing? Like you're calling upon a spirit or an entity?
Man, I wish I could have. I had known what was being chanted. Man, I didn't ask any questions. I was like, wow, that was an experience. Like it was something different, and I have no idea if we were calling upon spirits. I would have not have known if we were calling some spirit of some kind.
Yeah.
I had no idea, but I certainly felt like there was something else there.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Would you do you think it's wise if we would recommend that to our children?
To do a
if-
meditation group.
no, not just meditation, but if they would be spiritually curious,
Oh,
and
I
then
see.
let's say, I want to try, let's say pranic healing or other new age stuff. Do you think that would be prudent or wise if we would allow them to do that, to explore?
Yeah.
Or should we put them in a fold where you think it's safer here? I'm still on the fence on that.
Yeah.
Because I went through that, right?
Yeah. Well. So since we went through that, think about what you would have done if your parents told you not to.
Yeah. It
Right.
would have saved a lot for me.
Well, it could have, or it would have.
But I wouldn't arrive in this position.
Yeah. So that's the thing.
Yeah.
It could have made you dive deeper
Yeah.
into those practices and brought you further away, right? Had they said no, you absolutely cannot be an atheist, right? Then what? Then you're gonna
Yeah.
rebel even harder, right?
Yeah.
You're gonna be like, well, I don't have the support of my parents, so fuck this.
Yeah.
I'm going all in. What do you do then, right?
Yeah. That's
So-
going to be tricky. I
So
mean,
what if, right? So I like it's just like the rest of parenting, right? Like we can't always have control of
Yeah.
what our kids are gonna do. I mean, we have to emphasize what we believe in, which is the Bible, right? So it always comes back to the Bible, and raise them on those values.
Yeah.
right?
And practice what we preach. That's
Yeah.
a very important one. We
Yeah.
always tell them, thou shalt not commit so and so, but then we end up doing it.
Oh,
They see us.
Yeah. So that's a good point.
Yeah.
Because something I did recently was I became an open book to my daughter because she's at an age now where she can kind of understand more complex topics, right?
Complex emotions, complex scenarios.
And so I told her, and I've been arrested in my life more
See,
than one.
actually-
I told her that straight up, and she was like, "What?" She kind of like, I don't know if she didn't believe me, but I think it was a little bit difficult for her to accept because I'm not like that anymore. She sees that I don't do things like that, and I explained to her it's not because I was doing harmful things to other people. I was doing harmful things to myself.
Yeah, and I was
there's a
doing
big
dumb
difference,
decisions, making
right?
dumb decisions.
Yeah, I was making bad decisions, and so I went through this. It was like an hour, man. I had a whiteboard out, and I was drawing on the whiteboard because I gave her a story of a particular point in my life during that year where I got arrested twice, and the people that I was hanging out with, and so I wrote their names on the whiteboard so she could have some kind of idea that these were real people, right? Like the people I was hanging out with, making bad decisions with, were also good people making bad decisions.
Yeah.
As far as I knew, the people that I was hanging around with, because I was hanging around with someone that was selling drugs, and we were going to the clubs, and I would just hang out with them, right? And so I put their names on the board, and I explained to her like these were two best friends, like these two characters were in this story. This was a real life story, and I was giving her the characters of this particular time of my life and how that played out. And I told her this was a time where I was the furthest from God, where I had going back to the word lawlessness. Like I didn't have those laws in my life. I wasn't following any particular structure.
Yeah.
Right. I was free in my mind
And
right?
rebellious.
And yes, and that's how I explained it to her. I was free to make my choices, and I chose to make these choices within the world of sin, and that's how I tried to get her to grasp the idea of why we have these commandments. They're not there just to give us rules and to control us. They're actually there to help us.
In place, for us to actually learn from.
Don't commit adultery. Why? Because you'll destroy the family.
Yep.
Right. So, I mean, I guess if you unless you're like these other people who are like, yeah, my dad's the financial advisor is my OnlyFans. Like some bullshit like that, right? But we're not talking about that.
Yeah.
We're talking about within this structure that we follow the Bible, right? So there is a reason. So that's how I kind of positioned the whole story.
Yeah,
it was like
I
didn't have the laws in my life, and this is what happened. I wasn't just, it might be one thing for other people who have different situations and they are doing harmful things. And of course, I harm my parents, in emotionally and probably financially because they had to put me through rehab and deal with my bullshit, right? But at the same time, I tried to frame it in a way that showed her why these rules exist. And so I think it's important because as parents we get too accustomed to being like the person that's in control, right? To be like the person in the family, because we're supposed to be the leaders, like especially as the fathers. We're supposed to be the leaders, right? We're leading the family, right? And so I think that can get to a lot of parents' ego. And it's I can definitely see that in the school. Like when you'll start to get higher in the grade school, you'll see it, man. I'm sure of it.
Yeah.
It'll become very obvious that parents have a very controlling approach to their kids' life. And I understand you have to control them to some degree. I'm not saying you don't control them, right?
Put them, keep them in a straight path.
It's a difficult line to walk when you're trying to allow your kid to experience life and explore things
Without being destructive.
without without falling
Self
to the demons.
Yeah.
Right? So that's a difficult position to have.
Yeah,
And that's our responsibility as parents, to have that awareness, right? And that's why, thankfully, we have these laws in place to guide us, right? That's what it's there for.
a moral compass.
Yes,
Right?
exactly. Yeah, that is the North Star.
Yeah.
Literally, figuratively, right? So,
And I thought it was outdated. Here I am now.
yeah.
It's reading it.
Did I read this? Yeah.
I was surprised when, like, one night I was like, "Oh man, it's like I'm doing this every night now."
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's a good point. I mean, I'm gonna practice that transparency. There you go. Yeah,
It's a blow to your ego, man.
yeah,
but-
I know. It's
And of
like-
course, you don't want to lay it all on them. Like, you know, like there's a lot of probably things that I won't say to her at this age.
yeah.
But
But at least we got to be open with our
Yeah.
failures, so we can teach them
absolutely.
properly on how to avoid those
Yeah.
situations.
You don't want them to think that you're the one with all the answers,
Yeah.
because that's not true. No
Yeah.
one single parent has all the answers, and if you portray yourself as that, that's a moral
Oh,
sin.
yeah.
Let's we can get into that.
It's pride
But that's
and-
exactly. So the pride with parents, I think, can get a bit much.
Yeah,
right?
it's a good point.
And so it's not easy, dude. It's not. I'm not saying like I got it down, but
But
like
at least you're aware of it now.
I'm trying to like put it out there and humble myself and let my kid know, and my wife knows this stuff. Like I explained this to her long ago, long before I told my daughter. Like I explained these things. Like I'm not, I have we all
Sketchy
have
past.
scars, right?
Yeah. I got a sketchy past too.
Yeah. Thankfully, it's not like
Yeah, it's nothing like
it's nothing so extreme.
Yeah, so extreme, but
I mean, it's not
we've
pretty.
dipped ourselves in the dark.
Yeah. So that's the thing. I mean, we have to be willing to, and it's funny because she'll make random comments sometimes. Prior to me explaining it recently, the full story, she'll be like, "You got arrested twice." She'll like throw it in my face, and so after a few times of her kind of openly saying it in like in front of other people, like I hadn't told her the full story yet.
Yeah.
So now that she understands the full story, like she doesn't make it as a way to like hit me under
Have
the
a
belt.
comeback or something. Yeah.
Yeah. She doesn't use it as a cheap shot. You know what I mean? So I wanted to introduce it, and like I have to be able to accept that like she's gonna bring it up in front of other people,
Yeah.
and then that's okay with me. Like I was okay with that.
Yeah.
She used it as a way to kind of like to hit me with a low blow in front of other people, and I was just like, yeah. I'm not I haven't made the best decisions, and that's okay. Like I don't get embarrassed by it. Like psh, you give me a break. Like compared to other people, that's like nothing, dude.
Yeah. And at least you took ownership of it, right? Like,
Yeah,
all right,
yeah,
this is
yeah.
something that I made a
Own
mistake.
it for sure.
And then you own it. You're doing
Yeah, dude.
something.
I
So-
mean, compared to a lot of other things, like
Yeah.
I can explain other people's situations that are way beyond anything I've done.
Yeah.
Like my shit is like kindergarten compared to what other people have to
Yeah.
go through.
I guess we got lucky. We got like good angels for
Yeah.
who just kept us into that,
Yeah.
in the light, I guess.
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
now, we're still good. So we got to do like, we got to be vigilant again all the time.
Yeah, man. So I think it's important to allow ourselves to be vulnerable, at least with our family members,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like with our
It's
kids, with our
true.
wife, and just remember that we have to put those things out there and
Mm-hmm.
not feel like we always have to be the one with the answer and
Yeah.
be like the knight in shining armor. As much as we love to be that role, right? Like that is part of our role as
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
fathers, to be the one who's going to come rescue our daughter, because that's what we're here for,
Yeah.
right? Like that's part of our role. That's not toxic masculinity.
Yeah.
That's being a father.
And for me, for my experience as well, it's like involving the ego. It also takes a lot of humility to submit that that's right. Like when I say I don't have the answer, therefore I submit to God.
Right.
It's kind of like, so I kind of like trust your wisdom over.
Yeah.
They say like the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. That's what scripture says.
Sure.
I was like, there's there's a lot of truth into this. It's kind of like because I used to be like, yeah, I can learn everything. I'm better than whoever gods are out there
Yeah.
before.
Yeah.
Like, man, but then you realize you're just like a bacteria, a speck of dust in this whole grand scheme of things or this story. But you're given a chance to actually contemplate things. That is a gift that I'm willing to accept. Like, even I will accept crumbs from God.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a very good advice. Be transparent. I'm gonna try to practice that. Yeah.
Yeah, of
Be
course,
transparent.
it's to a certain degree, right? Like,
Yeah.
there are probably some things that you shouldn't mention, and that probably aren't appropriate for certain ages. But maybe when they're adults, you can get more graphic and more detailed about
Yeah.
things that you've been through. But yeah, as long as keep it PG, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, I gotta tell her in the future, like, I was a womanizer before. How am I gonna tell her
Yeah,
to
yeah.
be like loyal? At least in my marriage for now, I'm not doing any.
Yeah. See, that's I think that we had to go through those things to be able to pass those things on to our daughter. Those lessons, right? Not that we want them to just be watching out, but we have the opportunity to translate what is out there,
Yeah.
right? And firsthand, right? Because maybe things that you've experienced, the way that you lived your life before can now bring some awareness to our kids, right? And that's I think that's part of applying that wisdom to the next generation. Yeah, like there might have been a lot of ways that we fucked up, but the real wisdom comes from those failures, right? And how are we going to apply those moving forward and trying to move forward beyond our own life, right? Like this is a long term.
Yeah.
This is a long. What do you call this? This is not just about us
Yeah.
anymore, right?
We're the captains of the ship now.
Yeah, the generational traumas and curses. We have to try to
it's
stop
a-
those.
yeah.
Bring those, at least slow them down
Yeah.
to a point where it's not just like blind alcoholism or blind anger, right? Or that's not being passed down. Like we have
Blind
to
gluttony.
right
or-
right it has to be brought to some kind of awareness, like, look, I did these things because of my experiences before me. Like I have to go back and explain that my parents experienced things that I had then to receive, that be the receiving side of that trauma. And now that I experienced those things, here's what happened to me. And now I'm here talking to you, and I'm trying to provide you with this structure, these laws, so that you don't live a lawless
It's knowledge.
life, right? And that's difficult, man. To try to lay that out in a way that's understandable and digestible for a 9-year-old.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, but I think when you get to that 9, 10, 11, 12, they're before they get to the point where they're starting to have self-identity, develop their own identity, right? That's like the years that are coming up for me, before the years before teenager, right? Those are the years where they start developing self-identity. So as early as now, I wanted to start exposing her to these things, that there are such things as generational traumas, right? Like I went through things not just because I made bad decisions, but because I had to go through things because of what the previous generation also went through.
Yeah.
At least to my knowledge, like I don't know everything that they went through,
Yeah.
but I know some things that they went through, and I have to try to translate that, right? And
Yeah.
so that becomes like a little bit of storytelling.
Yeah, and
that's difficult.
And also the beauty of it is just you get this what do you call this, on the mountaintop of the story. There's the origin of all of this, like the origin of sin.
Oh,
So you get to tell that story,
Yeah.
whether you believe it or not, whether it's literal or not, but just the story of love and redemption of it all. Like even after the process of rebellion, there is a chance for reconciliation and redemption. So that's the beauty of the whole the whole story of scriptures, because from what I've learned, even from the Old Testament and New Testament, it's just basically a story about love, a marriage between God and his creatures, which is us. And we were separated from him because of that act. But now there's this plan for our redemption, and that's the thing that I've learned so far from this journey, and it's a beautiful one, I think. And it's something that I'm looking forward to pass on. I'm already doing it now. Every time we go to mass, I explain to her, or at least slowly, how to pray, why we pray, why like this, why like that. Just entertaining her questions, basically, right? As you said, when they ask, we give time to, even if we don't know the answer, we can just say, perhaps we'll work on that one, finding out that one, an answer to that for now. But what I can answer for now, I will. I'll give time, right? So it's very important, since I think there was a lack of time in our generation. A lot of us were latchkey kids, especially Gen X and old millennials. So that disconnect between the generations became this effect of us also becoming disconnect with God. I think because with our culture and tradition, it somehow dissipated at some point throughout in maybe, I don't know when it started, probably the 60s, 70s, but I've been noticing that trend where even now the disconnect is becoming wider. It's becoming, Jenny, with this generation, they don't even
Disconnect from God.
yeah. I mean, they don't even what do you call this? Go to church anymore. Before, at least us, our parents would still take us even if it's superficial. But now it's like Sundays are more of becoming a different activity. I mean, I'm not telling people how to spend their rest days, but
Yeah, last week we were at the Savior Church, and the priest was pointing out something, and I noticed it also, like when he mentioned it, and it was he was telling people you should invite your kids to come to church.
yeah.
I was like thinking, I was like looking around, then I looked around, I was like, yeah, there aren't any kids here. Like, where are all the kids, dude?
They're all playing video games.
Yeah,
Oh.
I was like, oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Because yeah, I didn't realize that until he mentioned it, because obviously we're there with our daughter.
Yeah.
And so for me, I wasn't even thinking about that, like, where are the other kids? And when he said you should invite your kids, or bring the kids to church, I was like, yeah, where are the kids? Like, there are the very few here. Like, I don't know where they are.
Well,
I don't understand. I don't know if
yeah, we don't even teach them how to pray anymore. Like, no, I don't see any of my the next generation doing like deep prayers.
which is weird, because there
Yeah.
are entire schools,
Yeah,
right? The private schools here are mostly Christian Catholic schools,
it's
right?
non-sectarian, but it's
the
still
private
a Christian.
schools, the
Yeah,
private
the private
schools,
school,
yeah,
but it's still a Christian school. Like
Yeah.
our school is even named after Christ, so so it's there. But I don't know what yeah, as I've said, I've noticed that disconnect. Maybe we need to do better. I'm just speaking to our Christian brothers and sisters out there who are listening. Yeah, we can do better. I think there is a way, and I'm gonna try some new things as well. Even practicing new types, such as the meditation, Christian meditation. I'm gonna try it maybe in the next episode after doing a deeper dive on that. I can provide some inputs, but for now I'm still scratching the surface of that one.
I'd be interesting
So-
if you have, because one thing that I used to do when I would meditate is I would listen to monks
Yeah.
do Om. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, and man, it was like it
Yeah.
like it really connected something in my I don't know, my brain. Or
I do
something.
that, but then I listen to Gregorian chants because there
Yeah.
are also in
Okay.
Gregorian chants
Okay.
like just
Something like that.
very simple tones, repetitive,
Yeah,
but then it gets you to that
Yeah,
certain
hook me up with
frequency.
that. Dude.
Yeah,
Send me the
I'll-
link for that.
I'll give you a link.
I'd be
Have you tried
interested.
adoration?
No.
You haven't tried
I don't-
adoration?
No.
It's gonna be
I don't
interesting.
know what that is.
If you want to go with me next time, we call it Eucharistic adoration, where you just stand in the presence of the exposed Eucharist exposition, they call it. Where yeah, of course in our Catholic faith we believe that it is the actual blood and body of Jesus, right? The bread.
Sure.
So it's exposed there in the chapel, and you can meditate there. You can read Bible there. You can just even pray there. You can just talk to to Jesus if you want. There are no rules, but of course you have to be very quiet, because it's a very sacred place. So in Cathedral they have one. I go there every Friday. I spend at least an hour there.
Wait, so is there chanting or something?
No,
like
but
that?
for me, I just sometimes I listen to Gregorian chants while
okay.
being there.
Okay.
Sometimes I just do some meditation. Sometimes I just write. When I write my prayers,
Interesting.
sometimes I just even
Yeah, sure. We can do
read
that.
a kanang a standard prayer from
Okay.
the saints
Okay.
who loves adoration. But it's interesting because they used to practice that a lot, especially the old Catholics.
Mm.
But now I've been doing it lately, and
Yeah, I feel like there's something to that.
Yeah.
Even though when I was practicing it previously, it came from the other beliefs.
Mm.
But there is something about the chanting, even chanting like when we did the group meditation, like
Yeah.
that was
Ang
was something
om kada
different,
sa
yeah.
mga monks, di ba?
that one. The Om in particular is
Mm-hmm.
I understand. I don't really understand much about Om in particular, but something about that sound is seems to be seems to connect to something.
Yeah.
Like, man, it's a special sound, and if there is something like that in the Catholic Church, I would be very
You
interested.
can even incorporate bells because we have a Sanctus bell. It's an exorcism bell.
Yeah.
So if you want to like do the bells, you can incorporate that in your meditation. Some I've heard some Catholics who practice
So
that.
the-
So there are different ways of
The one you're referring to is it
Adoration.
It's also monk chants.
not really. It's just being there in the presence of our Lord.
Okay.
Worshiping the
That's the adoration.
that's the adoration. But you can do.
But you're saying you listen to something.
Sometimes
What is
I
that?
put in earphones and I listen to Gregorian chants.
Gregorian chants.
Yeah, so
that's the one you're saying. It's more
yeah.
like a tone.
sometimes I just kneel there and then
What does that
spend-
sound like?
It depends. There are different prayers. Sometimes it's even the
Oh,
the
okay.
Our
So
Father.
it's words.
yeah,
like
the Our Father in Latin. So
okay.
Pater noster qui es in caeli, like that.
Okay.
Sanctificetur. Anyway, so there are
Okay.
different types of Gregorian chants. There are different prayers, but sometimes they're just sound. They're just chanting in repetition, and it's
Interesting.
different because I've been avoiding secular music for the past few months now. Like having because I used to listen like from morning to evening, just listen to music. So now it's not really exclusive, but I spend more time listening to Gregorian chants rather than
Instead of Kanye West.
yes. And it helps with my just getting in tune with my prayer life.
Yeah.
So it's different. I don't know. It's just something that I've been trying to practice.
I was
lately.
introduced to by our one of the Christian fathers, the New Jay. Have you heard of that one? The
Wala
New
ba?
Jay. It's like apparently it's a radio station here.
Oh,
I forget what the frequency is here,
Okay.
but
I should check that
they,
out.
there's a YouTube channel for the New Jay,
Oh.
and it's all Christian songs. But it's all different genres. Like there's hip hop, there's like some rock songs, and it still sounds really really good.
Yeah.
It's like I was listening to there was a rapping. I was like, what?
Oh yeah, there's a
This
lot
is
of great Christian
That was
rappers.
interesting.
Dax is one. He's pretty good.
Yeah, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll send you. There are other. There's even this Catholic priest who raps. I was like, holy crap, this
Nice.
guy's good.
Nice.
Like,
Yeah. I have a good friend of mine from high school, and he was into doing doing flows, doing raps, and for inspiration, he would read the Bible.
Nice.
But at the time, we were doing all kinds of sinful stuff. But it was interesting because he's like heavily into church now. But during that time when we were like, drinking 40 ounces and, getting high in the garages, like he would get inspired for lyrics from the Bible. So it's like, I guess maybe early on he was already getting influenced to go to Jesus.
Nice.
But it's interesting to know that about him. And now he's like heavy into church. He's a good friend of mine. I miss that guy. Shout out to RJ. 209.
Maybe you should have him on.
Oh,
if you're still there.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, that would be awesome.
Wow.
Hook me up with those, man. I'd be interested because I really appreciated the Om chanting. Like I would definitely listen to those, especially after the yoga session.
Yeah.
During pandemic, that was kind of the routine. Was I would go through the poses, get a really good sweat going because I was doing this Ashtanga style of yoga, and then at the end I would listen to chanting while I laid in my the last position, and I would get into the meditative state. And man, I gotta say, it was those were some experiences, man.
Nice.
Like I definitely. That's the thing. Like that's why earlier when I brought that up, that's kind of like why I felt so conflicted about hearing our common friend talk about people were requesting for him to denounce his yoga practice, and that's why he came to the conclusion like he would just remove those parts of
maybe
it,
change
like
some of the
and I explained to kind of close that out before we close out here. Is like I kind of explained to him like I think I've come to appreciate, and I don't apply this to everything, but I've come to appreciate the mixed martial arts approach to life. Like there are good things to take from a lot of different areas in life. And I'm not saying to do that with religion. I'm not saying to like include all the good things about other religions into our Catholic faith.
Yeah.
But in terms of like, there are certain things that you can learn from.
Or
right?
incorporate.
And not necessarily like what he's saying is like, oh, I don't do the chanting and the meditation part, like, but he still provides the physical movement, like we were saying earlier. Like there is
the benefits of it, right?
The benefits of the exercise, So although maybe some would say that you can't really call that yoga or whatever, you can make arguments against it.
Yeah.
But that's his approach now, and I don't see anything wrong with that because at the end of the day, you're still helping people.
Yeah.
And that's in a way, I kind of see it like, we have a common enemy at the end of the day. It's like, if a yoga practitioner is also telling people that they should live a better life in a way that is less gluttonous or less materialistic, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Man. Like I'm not going to be like, oh, you're a bad person because you're not a Christian, you're not a Catholic.
Yeah.
Right? Like
too dogmatic.
Yeah, too dogmatic. Right, exactly. So I think at the end of the day, you can be basically on the front lines. And I feel like that's kind of what he's doing. Like he's putting himself out there as a Christian in the field of yoga, and he's friends with these people. And I don't exactly find that like he's a demonic. He's dabbling in demonic things because he's hanging around people who practice yoga. Like he's on the front lines, dude.
Yeah, and
like,
helping people get healthy.
Yeah. And if that means he has to still, he's clearly a Christian. He doesn't deny it. He doesn't like hide it. So, okay, that's fine, man.
Yeah.
Like I maybe some people would be a little, extreme about it and say, no, you can't. But I don't know, man. For me, it's like, if you're on the front lines like that, dude, like, man, you know, he's promoting Christianity. Like, he doesn't hide it, dude. Like he's very open, and the guy's gone. He's like us. He's gone through
a lot of
he's gone around the circle.
But it's also part of the journey, right? Like
it's part of the journey.
This activity that I'm doing. I'm not like invoking any what do you call this? Bad elements.
Yeah. Yeah.
As long as you're deeply or you're very grounded in your faith, I don't see anything wrong with it.
Yeah,
I mean,
I think-
personally, I think I'm on board with you with that.
Yeah, that doesn't mean like, oh yeah, I can do Ouija boards as long as I'm intentional about it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think you can do. There's
But
a certain
Ouija boards are-
there's a certain line
Yeah.
you probably can't cross. Right?
I'd be too scared to touch it now.
Yeah.
But before I
Yeah,
gotta
yeah,
admit,
yeah.
I did a lot
Oh,
of those
yeah.
before.
Yeah. I mean, it's no coincidence that it's a board game, right?
Yeah.
That's a thing, right?
It's just the history of it. Anyway, that's another
Yeah,
episode.
that's
We can
another
talk about
episode.
it
Yeah,
next
let's-
time.
We'll just close it out for
Yeah.
now,
But
and we'll leave it on.
we can talk a lot about our shady practices before that could have possibly opened things to that led to some things in our lives.
I
It's
have no
some trauma.
doubt, I
Yeah,
have no doubt about it.
that'll
No
be
doubt
another
about it.
episode. But
Yeah.
but for now,
We can
we'll just
dissect
leave it as it is. So
We'll end on since it's Christmas season.
yeah, you got any last parting messages?
Well, the theme of today's readings and gospel was rejoice, right? So I think if as long as in the midst of all this chaos and madness and lawlessness, at least for those of us that are still in the faith, we can believe and rejoice and have something to be thankful for, and remember, and that's what this time of the season is for. So I think as long as we can remember that and practice that, and not make Christmas about the gifts, and make it about rejoicing that we can give gifts.
Yeah, and then letting Christ be birthed in our lives.
The ultimate gift.
Yeah, the ultimate gift that we can give to our children. That's a very good parting words that you got
Yeah.
there. Amen to that.
Merry Christmas.
Merry
Papa Lloyd.
Christmas. Yeah. So yeah, thank you everybody. Thank you, Papa Ben. It's been a pleasure talking to you guys, and we wish you a happy and Merry Christmas, everyone.
Merry Christmas.
And we'll be back before New Year, or probably after, hopefully as early. So thanks
Yeah.
again,
Let's do
and
that.
we'll see you again. God bless everybody, and pray for us. Thank you.